Welcome to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden, your host, and your guide this week. Solo on our insider edition of the podcast, where we make a deeper dive into a single subject or meet a person who's fascinating in one way or another, or maybe we just go on an adventure. This week, are you still missing more than you're hitting? Well, I'm going to take you through a kind of a flow chart to better shooting, and who better than the worst shotgunner on television? Hopefully something I learned might help you in one way or another, so stand by for that. Made possible by CableGangz Stakeout Systems and Pointer Shotguns FurFeathersFriends sweepstakes, where you have a chance to win a 4-pack of Pointer shotguns. I'll start with a little story because this really drove it home for me. I was hunting with a friend who had a little setter, about 35-pound setter, mainly white, black mask with a little brown trim, if you want to call it that. She was slammed onto a point. You know that look. They're kind of quivering. They're just about on the edge. Two wheels off the rail. Nostrils, you could see them just going in and out, and then sort of drinking in that scent with their tongue. Well, we split up, went wide around the dog, and kind of thought we were pinching in towards that spot where we think the dog was vectoring the bird location. A little bit of geometry, a little bit of just wild-ass guessing there, but you know what I mean. Just about 12 o'clock from the dog and a little up the steep hill. Not too steep. Yeah, we were in Hun country, and 8 of them rose as one. Bam, bam. Bird down on the right, bird down on the left. Very happy dog and happy owners picking feathers from her chin. Yeah, that time it went, well, as close to perfect as we ever get in the field. The problem is, for me and maybe for you, it doesn't happen near as much. Now, when I'm writing a story for a magazine, I can employ a little creative license and be a better shooter than I might be for real, but it still doesn't happen enough for me, and if it doesn't happen enough for you and you're willing to admit it, it's time to start looking at ways to improve. And this is a perfect time. We got all the time in the world before the season starts. We can dial things in and do them often enough, frequently enough, to where we might actually make them habit. You know, hand-eye coordination and all that jazz. So if you're looking to put a little bit more heft in your game bag and spring your step this fall, take a look at some of the things I'm going to talk about today. And I know if you're in the business world, a flowchart is something you do on electronic paper now. But I'm going to do it here on the podcast and walk you through a few scenarios where you might pick up something that will help you work out some of those ticks, flinches, and yips that we all have at one point or another in the field with a shotgun in our hands. Hey, the good news is you can do most of the work at home. With an unloaded shotgun in the right place, lots of these drills are doable. Then head for the range every once in a while and pop some caps, see how it works. And I mean, what else you going to do this summer? Grow zucchini? All right, so let's start with the basic approach. This is kind of the distillation of what many shooting instructors I've worked with and talked to, interviewed, and seen in action. What most of them will call the move, mount, shoot method. Most of the shooting instructors that I've worked with, and this would be the first advice I'd have for you. If you're going to take a lesson, and please think about taking more than one lesson, Um, the key is work with somebody who's also a bird hunter. Breaking clay targets is great. I love it. Hey, I made a TV show about it. But it's different in the field. Everything is different. And you know what I mean. I don't need to go through all that. You got a buddy on one side. You got a dog in front of you. You got trees, hills, unpredictable birds. Simple is better. 3 words. Make it your mantra. Move, mount, shoot. And let me just add a 4th one to that. Slow down. I guess that's 2 words. Of all the things I've learned over the years, that might be the most important. You can do everything right, but if you do too fast, it ain't going to be right. Slow down. You got plenty of time. I might remember to tell you again later, but I did the math once and realized that even a motivated pheasant in the right conditions after a standing start can only go 45, 50 miles an hour. The shot string leaving your muzzle is going at over 900 miles an hour. The bird will never outrun the shot. So just work on getting everything deliberately, slowly, in the right place at the right time. Good shooting starts long before you put your gun to your shoulder, what we call the mount. All right. Remember, there's move, then you mount, then you shoot. But my first advice is stop. Stopping gives you the chance to kind of collect your thoughts and then do a recon. Where's the dog? Where's it pointing? Or if it's a flusher, his head position and to a degree his movement will indicate the general direction and even the spot where the bird is. Make an educated guess as to where the bird will fly. They're going to generally fly away from the dog, away from the other threats, you guys, over a ridge, around a boulder, towards sheltering trees, trying to put something between them and you. All right, once you've done that, you can approach the dog. And kind of the whole time you're approaching, orient yourself for the direction you think that bird's going to go. So, get to a place where if at any moment the bird gets up, you're generally facing the right way. Then you can stop walking when you get up close enough to the bird and start thinking about setting your feet. Now, if you're going to walk in and push the bird up yourself, well, then you're going to have to be ready to do that and then set your feet. But you can get ready for it even before you do it. Get your feet about shoulder width apart, body weight just about evenly distributed on both feet. Maybe your lead foot a few inches ahead of the back foot, and sort of pointing in the direction you think the bird's going to flush. No, I'm not big on what some people call the rifleman stance because that inhibits your swing radius, your arc. It also pulls the muzzle down as you're swinging at the maximum. If you're a right-handed shooter, on the maximum left shot, for example, a crossing shot. So I like a more squared up approach. That'll give you almost 180 degrees of shotgun swing. And if your knees are slightly bent and the weight is slightly on the balls of your feet, you're a pretty good swivel. Now you can get most of that ready and walk in to push the bird at the same time. Remember, the bird starting out is going at 0 miles an hour. Your shot's going to go at 900. You got plenty of time to then kick the bird up, put the foot down, and get ready to mount. Stop, square up, anticipate trajectory, and get ready for the shot before you do anything else. All right, that's the first flow chart. The second one is about soft focus, the ready position, slowing down again, and your eyes moving first. That all happens as a part of that move. Now, if you think about all the things that have to move before you pull the trigger, well, it's a daunting list. Getting them in the right order is critical. And again, I even drill this when I'm using my computer mouse. But these are things that will help you at the most basic, fundamental level. Once your feet are set, it's time to quit fixating on where you think the bird is. Your dog's got that figured out. You're pretty much in the right place. Whether you need to walk it up or not, all of this still holds true. Instead of looking at the ground, softly focus, and I don't mean blur or squint or anything, but just look into the middle distance in the direction the bird will probably fly. Your eyes then have a head start on the bird, so you're not having to bring your eyes and your head from the ground all the way up to where you finally acquire sight of the bird. Focus instead in the general direction that bird is probably going to go. Now it's time for your first official gun move, but it's not to your shoulder. We're not ready for that yet. You've heard me talk about the ready position. Well, anything is better than your gun under your, over the crook of your arm or on your shoulder the wrong way. But the ready position is the best place to start your gun mount. Safety's still on. Gun's put together if you got a break open gun. You get your gun butt ahead of your armpit by a few inches. Your muzzle is about at the level where you think you're going to pull the trigger. And remember, of course, you're facing in the general direction you think the bird is going to go. Soft focus. Wait for the bird to fly. Or if you're going to kick it into the air, a couple steps before you do that is when you acquire that ready position. Now, the reason I like the ready position, and you'll watch every pro sporting clays shooter do it, and most great hunters will do it too. Maybe they don't know they're doing it, but they are. No matter where their gun starts as they're walking in, eventually it gets to that sort of ready position before it goes to the next step. Bird gets up. No mount. No. The first thing that should be swinging on that bird as it rises is your eyes. Your eyes move way faster than your head, and your eyes and their natural tracking of the flying bird will help your gun track the bird as well from the ready position. At the flush, you go from that soft focus of that entire field of view to a laser-like convergence on the bird. Just the bird, nothing but the bird. Thanks, Buzz Fawcett, for describing it as shooting like a predator. And we all have another analogy or two. Look at the ring on the rooster's neck. Look at the eye of the quail. Whatever it is, shoot like a predator. Focus on nothing but the target. Now, if you're in the ready position, your head, your shoulders, your unmounted gun, your hips will all follow your eyes, which are following the bird. We still haven't mounted the gun, but we will right after this. We are brought to you in part by CableGangz, CableGangz.com. They have what I consider to be the state of the art when it comes to tie-out stakes, chain gang stuff, all the things that you would use, except no chains. Brendan and the crew use cables instead of chains, which means fewer tangles, which means easy to adjust lengths, and durability. Stakes have been specially designed to address one of the biggest issues, that mushrooming of the head when you start reefing on it with a mallet. That then pinches the swivel mechanism so it doesn't anymore. You can learn more at CableGangz.com, and if you use the code CG10, you can get everything at 10% off. 10% off everything except gift cards at CG10 is the code at CableGangz.com. And we're getting down to the wire on our FurFeathersFriends sweepstakes, brought to you by Pointer Shotguns. And, of course, the big prize, the end of this month, a 4-pack of Pointer Shotguns. Your choice, over and under or side by side, in 410, 28, 20, and 12. Go to FurFeathersFriends.com to learn more. Welcome back to this insider edition of the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden. We're trying to break down our shooting glitches. Maybe one step you add to your current routine is all you need. Maybe it's a revelation. It was for me the first time I took a lesson and learned this in depth. But let's carry on. We got the move, mount, shoot method, and we have moved. Our feet are in the right spots. We're looking in the correct general direction. The gun is in the ready position. And the bird gets up. We still don't move anything except our eyes. Everything else follows. The body follows when the eyes move. There's no reason to rush. Physics is in your favor. Yeah, the bird starts at 0. The shot string starts at 900 miles an hour. Yeah, the bird can't outrun it. So keep that in mind. Take your time. The biggest reason you miss is your head, your eyes, and your muzzle start in the wrong place. They're the ones that can't catch up to the bird. But you're set. You got the ready position. You're looking in the right direction. And you're already so soft focused on that. Go ahead. Take a breath. A couple luxurious split seconds to slowly and deliberately bring your shotgun forward slightly from the ready position. Lean slightly into the butt and the shot. Remember, because you've been moving for quite a while, your gun only has to move a few inches. Not that wild, sweeping arc. It looks like a 3-pointer by Caitlin Clark. This is just a few inches of movement because everything has already gone to where the bird is. Bring the shotgun butt, pardon me, bring the shotgun butt into the shoulder, head on the stock. Now is when you rush. As soon as the shotgun hits your shoulder, click the safety off and pull the trigger. Your best shot is always the earliest shot. I know that's counter to a lot of shooting styles. So if you learn sustained lead or pull through or something like that, this is a little bit of an anathema for you. But time and time again, I've had shooting instructors in particular, and you can try this. They've told me, once you're laser focused on the target, your head wants to pull your eyes off the target. We can't focus for a very long time on a moving target. It's just not in us. It's not part of our DNA. I joked to somebody a few days ago. I said, maybe that's because back in the day when we were using sharpened sticks to poke mastodons for dinner, we were always looking out for other predators who were wanting to turn us into dinner. So don't chance it. If you've done everything else right, your gun's already moving in the right direction. You're focused. The moment the stock hits your cheek, pull the trigger. No thinking aloud. Your muzzle won't have time to wobble. And your lead, if you want to call it that, will be just right on almost everything but those really long shots. That's what sustained lead and pull through are all about. They're not for most of the shots we take at 20, 25 yards. I know. It's a lot to grok. Good news. Gundog Online is going to feature this story very soon. So if you want it in more detail, that's a good place to start. Or play it over again. I don't mind. Okay, so here we are. Time to start practicing. In the house. Got an unloaded gun. Maybe you have snap caps in it. I really like those. I'll tell you why in a couple minutes. Stand in front of a mirror. Slow down and dial in every aspect of that process. That soft focus on the general direction. That move to the ready position. The move from the ready position to the gun mount. And as soon as your cheek touches wood or plastic, pull the trigger. If you want to make it a little bit more realistic, here's something I really love doing this. You got an oscillating fan, put a flashlight on it, a little, what are they? The good ones, you can focus down the beam. Just duct tape it to the fan. As it goes back and forth, the beam of that flashlight does too. Get as far back as you can in a big room or the garage or whatever, and get that beam going left to right, right to left, somewhere on the door or on the wall or something like that. And for a while, keep it up pretty high, so that when you're doing all of this, you can train your eyes to follow it. And then when it's time, when you decide it's the right time, then you go from ready to mount, bang. Snap caps help you conclude the deal. I've seen so many people practice everything else, but then they get to the point where they release the safety and pull the trigger and everything goes sideways. So include trigger pull in all of your in-home practice. Snap caps are better than an expended shell. Either will do. Well, if you did everything right, you moved slow until you pulled the trigger, you softly focused, you acquired the ready position, you pulled the trigger as soon as the gun stock hit your shoulder. There's nothing left but to send the dog for a retrieve and reach for your wallet because you're buying the beer tonight. Congratulations. I do have one more bonus because we all have a tick or a flinch or whatever you want to call it. So we'll conclude with that. Here's some things you might try if you simply cannot figure out what's going on. And I would know, missing is an art form around here. Here are some of the most common reasons birds get away unscathed. We lift our head off the stock. You want to see it fall. Never does. You're already shooting at a second bird. You missed the first bird. Or your cap brim is too low, obstructing your sight picture. Just try that in front of the mirror. If you can't see both eyes when you've got your gun up to your shoulder looking in the mirror, you're going to lift your head up so that you can see the bird fly. All right. Head lifting off the stock, number one. Number two, aiming instead of pointing. Now, that's the whole point, pardon the pun. That's the whole idea behind move, mount, shoot. You don't have time to aim because everything's just moving organically. And like I said, once you do acquire the target and you're laser focused on it, pull the trigger. Start tracking the bird after that, and you're destined for failure most of the time. Closing one eye when you aim just boggles up your depth perception. Now, some of us have to do it for any number of reasons. We're left-eye dominant, we shoot right-handed. I have a good friend who shoots one-eyed because he has no choice. Try not to unless you have no choice. Keep both eyes open. I've belabored the point, but I'll say it one more time because in the field, in the heat of the battle, we rush our gun mount. And who knows what that's going to do to you. It's not going to get up high enough. It's going to get up too high. It's going to be sideways, diagonal, too high, too low, whatever it is. As we're chasing the bird's trajectory, we're trying to adjust for all of that if we ever get the thing up into our shoulder pocket. And then finally, and I'm a true believer, and if you played sports, you know your coaches were big on this too. Your feet are critical. Get a good foot position, works for you, square it up. I describe it this way. I'm a fly fisher too, so when I'm wading across a rugged stream, lots of boulders on the bottom, greased bowling balls, that sort of thing. Weight is over my shoulders are over my knees, are over my feet, the balls of my feet, and my weight is constantly balanced. No matter what happens, I'm only a half step away from being ready to pull the trigger. Work on that first. Work on your move. Work on your mount, slow, and your shooting, fast. And maybe this season, you put another bird in the bag or two every other hunt or so. I'm still working on it. It's one of those skills that you can never, ever practice too much. Every season we end it, we put the guns up, and we forget about all the stuff that's important until opening day. Well, I hope that helps a little bit. It's helped me over the years. I want to thank every single instructor and good friend, and even you folks at the range who've pitched in to help me embarrass myself a little less. With luck, some of that will help you do the same. I'm Scott Linden. Please remember that these are only made possible thanks to the support of you and all the listeners and our sponsors, CableGangz, Stakeout Systems, and PointerShotguns.com. Don't forget to enter to win that 4-pack at FurFeathersFriends.com. If you want more of this, go to FindBirdHuntingSpots.com. Yeah, that's its first goal, but I'm also helping you shoot better, train your dog better, on top of finding new places to go. I'm Scott Linden. Thanks for listening to this Insider Edition of the Upland Nation podcast.